Overview. Use of graphs in social media influencers. We will describe different methodologies of identify social media influencers. We will give a roadmap for future use of these types of projects. Introduction. Social media has fascinated people with its power of engaging the world. An obscure character suddenly rises up from the ground and holds a following of lots of people. Social media has given the normal human a huge stage to draw on with the world. Most of the businesses use social media as their marketing platform. Advertisements and depending on their quality to gain more consumers. One of the additional fascinating branches to rise out from this is the use of online advertisement to promote brand awareness. In this we will show you some examples on how using these social media influencers changed the game for a lot of businesses. In this we will describe what are social media influencers. What is the use of graph theory to identify them? Table of contents. 1. Who are social media influencers? 2. Why is identity of influencer important? 3. Real-life use cases of social media influencer marketing. 4. Identifying individual influencers techniques, degree centrality, K-core centrality, closeness centrality. 5. Identifying multiple influencers techniques, independent cascade model, linear threshold model. Who are social media influencers? People with millions of followers are influential personalities on social media. Personalities like Narendra Modi, Joe Biden, Sachin Tendulkar, Putin, etc. Things are changing now. Due to the remarkable rise of social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., one doesn't need to be a celebrity to be a social media influencer. If someone has good skills at something, people will follow him, her. She qualifies as a social media influencer. For example, people outside the computer science community might not recognize the man in the picture below. But being a CEO of Microsoft, he is a big influencer and his name is Satya Nadella. Social media influencers have many followers. They accomplish high level of engagement on their content, like pictures, sites, posts, videos, and so on. Normally, they are viewed as specialists in their fields, have an elevated degree of persuading power, and can undoubtedly convince others. Why is influencer identification important? In nowadays, finding influencers on social media is turning out to be important. The advantages that show up with it are astounding. It is useful for tasks like we can do behavior adoption, product promotion, and viral marketing. For small businesses, it is too expensive to give their advertising on TV. So discovering a social media influencer with many followers to promote their products is more economically beneficial for them. It's not a big deal to find a famous non-celebrity social media user, such as Technical Guruji, Gaurav Chaudhary, the YouTuber. There are many social media influencers with followers of about 1,000 to 100,000 who are experts in their respective domains. Despite the fact that their following isn't enormous, they can on the whole impact the way of behaving and decision-making of countless people. Real-life uses. In this, we are listing a portion of the recent examples of how social media influencers contribute to a wide range of campaigns. Budmo started a YouTube influence campaign with a few micro-influencers on YouTube to advertise its products of spare parts of cars. MyProtein does its advertisement of its products through different YouTubers. Locating individual influencers. The most straightforward method for finding influencers in social media is by positioning them in light of their impacting capacity. How about we plunge further and figure out what this impactability is and how it is calculated? Show the graph given below. This graph has 11 nodes. In this graph, each node is an individual and the edges connecting them give relationship between them. By this example, we can show social media as a network connecting people. So we will find such a node which has more connections. In this example, node 9 has the maximum number of connections, which is 6. It can impact 6 people right away. Node 6 is also important because it is the only possible connection with nodes 4, 5, and 2. If we remove it, then our network will be broken into 2 parts. The 6 is important because it connects to 2 different parts of the social network. Both of the above approaches are true. In different conditions, different nodes will play a big role. There are a lot more strategies to measure the significance or impacting the capacity of a client in an informal community. In the event that you go over centrality, it is basically a proportion of the significance of a node in a graph. Now we will see some popular methods of finding social media influencers. Degree centrality. The degree of a vertex of a graph is the number of edges that are incident to that particular vertex in the graph. By this definition, we can sort them in the order of impact capability of social media user. In the above social network, we can clearly see that the most important node is 9, then after node 4, after that node 6. On the disadvantage, the quantity of direct connections may not be a solid marker in the certifiable social network. This approach considers just the prompt, the neighbors that are straightforwardly associated, and not the whole construction of the network. The benefits of the above method are that it is not difficult to execute and exceptionally adaptable as it requires unimportant computational asset. P-core centrality. Unlike the above method, this method considers the whole network. In this method, we will define a threshold value as P. The nodes having connections less than the threshold value will be removed from the network. After this process, we will check again the network. If there is a node that has connections less than the threshold value, we will remove it. We will do this process until all nodes have connections greater than or equal to threshold value. The rest of the nodes will be assigned a value as P. The downfall of this method is that rest of all nodes will be given value as P. Closeness centrality. Closeness centrality relegates a worth to every vertex in view of its closeness to any remaining vertex in the network. This measurement figures the briefest paths interfacing all vertexes and afterward gives a value to every vertex of the amount of its most closest ways. Presently, we can recognize people who have the best situations to influence the social media in the briefest measure of duration. In figure CI is the closeness centrality of the node I. N is the total number of nodes in the network. Dij is the length of the shortest path between node I and node J. Vertexes that can arrive at different vertexes through short ways or more reachable by different vertexes by means of short pathways having higher positioning. This method is useful for finding the shortest distance related things. There are numerous other centrality measurements separated from the ones talked about above, like PageRank centrality. In huge scope social networks, the aggregate way of behaving of enormous populaces can be impacted by a small bunch of people. How about we refer to these people as super spreaders? The recognizable proof of super spreaders helps in controlling a whole organization or a major piece of the organization. For instance, in the event of illness spread, if we can find the super spreaders, then, at that point, we have an extraordinarily better chance of containing the disorder. It can likewise be useful for viral showcasing of an item. Simply get the super spreaders ready and allow them to advance the item. This issue of finding super spreaders in a network is officially known as aggregate impact boost. It could appear to be like the issue of recognizable proof of individual influencers. However, there is a major contrast between the two issues. In aggregate impact expansion, we are looking for those people who probably won't be the most affecting clients. However, all in all, they impact the network amazingly. It's a hard issue, and it is as yet a functioning area of exploration. There are some other methods like Model Independent Cascade Model, ICM, and Linear Threshold Model.